You write about the day that Suge Knight delivered his ashes to you.
Right.
I could feel your rage on that page. What can you tell us about that day?
Having to receive Pac's ashes in that way was a really devastating moment, to just get him in this little cardboard box. And yeah, I was very rageful about the whole thing.
You write that he was sort of cavalier about how he delivered it.
He was.
And did that make you think that he was somehow involved?
One thing I've learned, not to make assumptions. Lord knows so many assumptions have been made about me, of what people think they know. And there's always more to the story, so.
What happened to Tupac Shakur's body after his death? On September 13, 1996, one of the most famous rappers in history died in a Las Vegas hospital. Tupac Shakur was only 25 years old. He had spent 6 days fighting for his life after being shot multiple times in a drive-by attack on September 7. Doctors had performed several procedures to save him, but his condition continued to deteriorate.
The doctor came out and said that Tupac had stopped breathing 3 times, and they had revived him 3 times. And that every time they revived him, he just went back, and I asked them to leave him alone and to let him go. I really felt it was important for Tupac, who fought so hard to have a free spirit. I felt it was important for his spirit to be allowed to be free, you know? And so I rejoiced with him and with the release of his spirit.
At approximately 4:03 p.m., Tupac was pronounced dead. But what happened to his body afterward is a story almost as mysterious as his death. And it happened remarkably quickly. The autopsy. After Tupac died, his body was taken into the custody of the Clark County Medical Examiner. An autopsy was performed that same evening. The coroner's records identified him as Tupac Amaru Shakur, age 25, and confirmed that his mother, Afeni Shakur, personally identified his body. The records also documented his tattoos and other identifying features. The autopsy confirmed that Tupac's death was a homicide caused by complications from multiple gunshot wounds. After the examination, his body was released to a funeral home in Las Vegas. His body was cremated. After the autopsy, Tupac's body was transferred to Davis Funeral Home in Las Vegas. His remains were cremated shortly afterward. Contemporary reports from September 1990 reportedly wanted his final arrangements to remain private. But former Death Row Records boss Suge Knight later gave a different account.
There was a security guard that worked for Right Way Protective Services by the name of James Green, y'all. I've told the story many a time. James Green is the one that came, picked up the ashes from me, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and I are the one that went and picked up the ashes from the crematory in Vegas. James came to Suge's house where I was at, picked up the ashes, and James got on the plane and flew and took the ashes to Afeni Shakur.
You write about the day that Suge Knight delivered his ashes to you.
Right.
I could feel your rage on that page. What can you tell us about that day?
Having to receive Pac's ashes in that way was a really devastating moment, to just get him in this little cardboard box. And yeah, I was very rageful about the whole thing.
You write that he was sort of cavalier about how he delivered it.
He was.
And did that make you think that he was somehow involved?
One thing I've learned, not to make assumptions. Lord knows so many assumptions have been made about me, of what people think they know. And there's always more to the story, so I can't make assumptions.
The ashes. After Tupac was cremated, his remains became the subject of numerous stories. For years, one of the most repeated claims was that Tupac's ashes were eventually taken to Africa. His mother had spoken publicly about scattering his ashes in Soweto, South Africa, a place connected to the history of the African struggle against apartheid. There were also reports that his ashes were scattered there around the anniversary of his birth. But another story emerged involving Tupac's closest friends. And it was much more shocking. Did Tupac's friends smoke his ashes? Members of Tupac's group, the Outlaws, have claimed for years that they participated in a memorial ritual in which some of Tupac's ashes were mixed with marijuana and smoked. The story was already circulating long before Suge Knight discussed it publicly. In 2025, Knight gave his own version of the story in an interview from prison, claiming that some of Tupac's friends and family gathered after the cremation and smoked his ashes. According to Knight, Tupac's mother was also present. But this part of the story remains disputed. Some members of Tupac's family have rejected the claim, saying Afeni would never have participated in such a ritual. So while the story has become one of the most famous legends surrounding Tupac, it should not be presented as an established fact. The safest conclusion is that some of Tupac's former associates claimed it happened, while members of his family disputed the account. But what actually remained of Tupac? Physically, Tupac's body no longer existed in the traditional sense after cremation. His remains became ashes. And the exact journey of every portion of those ashes has never been completely documented in a way that satisfies the public. There have been different accounts about what happened to them, including claims that some were scattered in Africa and claims involving the Outlaws. But the important distinction is this. Tupac's body was cremated. There was no confirmed secret burial publicly documented. There is also no credible evidence that his body was secretly preserved somewhere. What remained was his ashes and an enormous legacy.